Hi, everyone. Welcome to EarthEcho's Snack Size Science. My name is Casey, and I'll be your host for today's coral creations. Now, before we get started, I do want to remind everyone out there that if we experience any technical issues whatsoever, please just hang tight. There's a lot of people online using the internet these days, and so just sit tight until we get things worked out. Now, this video will be recorded and available to watch again right here on EarthEcho's YouTube channel right after this broadcast is over. So, who's ready to get started with today's snack size science coral creations? All right, everyone. So, here is what you will need for today's activity. You'll need a spoonful of jam, you'll need a toothpick. You'll need some crackers or even sandwich cookies work great. You will need maybe a section of pull and peel licorice. You could even use pretzels. Now, you will also need a straw or a chopstick. Those are going to be the tools we'll use today. You will need a banana, about a third of a banana, or even a jumbo marshmallow works great. Obviously, a plate, maybe a paper towel or napkins, or even a reusable towel if you have it. Now, I want to point out, this looks like a lot of ingredients here, right? So I want to point out that we'll be making two different versions of our coral creations today. And so that's why we've given you so many ingredients to choose from. If you have all of these supplies, fantastic. We're going to walk you through both of our recipes for our coral creations. And these are the recipes that we recommend to make some corals. So let's get started with today's snack size science of coral creations. And let's start by talking about one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet, coral reefs. Coral reefs are a resource that about 25% of life in the ocean relies on. That means that about a quarter of all known species in the ocean depend on a coral reef at one point or another in their lifetime. Tropical coral reefs are made up of a vast community of animals. One of the most important animals out there on the coral reef is the coral polyp, and it is a tiny creature that builds that reef. Now, corals are very tiny animals. You can see this close-up of little tiny coral polyps here. These animals are related to sea anemones and jellies. So since they're related, these are all cousins, they have very similar structure, very similar body plans, or otherwise similar anatomy. So corals are really simple animals that only have one body opening, their mouth. Now that mouth is surrounded by a ring of stinging tentacles. Now those tentacles help a coral to capture its food, such as plankton that might be floating by, and those tentacles even help to ward off predators and keep that little polyp safe as well. Now, once those tentacles capture food like plankton, they'll pass that food into that body opening, their mouth, and then that food will go into a stomach-like cavity or a gut where it's digested. Now, since corals only have one single body opening, their mouth, they need to get rid of their waste. And so guess what? It comes right back out the same way that it came in. It goes out through their mouth. Doesn't sound too good for us, but it definitely works for those little corals. So we're going to get started by making our own coral polyps. Okay, so let's review the supplies that you will need for today's coral creations. And again, if you have all of these supplies on hand, fantastic. Otherwise, we've given you some options here. You'll see 3 crackers or sandwich cookies. You'll see pull and peel licorice or pretzel sticks. So we're trying to give you a variety because we are going to make 2 different recipes of our coral creations today. So again, these supplies will make 2 different versions, and we're going to walk you through both that we recommend. Okay, let's start off with our supplies, and let's start off by starting that structure of a coral. Let's build its living tissue of our coral polyp. So here's where you will need to grab your marshmallows or even that banana. Now, I'm going to warn you all, my banana is not looking too good today. So I'm going to see if I can use my banana, but I don't have a lot of faith in it because it's not looking too good. So if you have a banana, you're going to go ahead and peel it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take about a third of that banana. Oh, we're actually looking pretty good. It is a little bruised, but guess what? I'm just going to use this top section right here. Okay, so if you have that banana, you're just going to use a section of it. If you have that marshmallow, you're going to use that marshmallow. So this starts off, I'm going to see if I can get a better section of my banana here. All right, I think this is good. Perfect. Snack size science can get a little messy, and things that you don't expect always happen. Okay, let's replace that banana. This is a little bit better. Okay, so section of banana or that marshmallow. So this makes up that soft tissue of the coral. So place that in the center of your plate like we've done here. So next, we're gonna make our stomach-like cavity, our gut. So our corals need a mouth and they need a stomach-like cavity to digest the plankton that they're gonna eat. So this is where you'll use your straw or your chopstick. Both actually work really, really well. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually do a little surgery on our coral polyps, and we're gonna make a gut opening. I'm gonna try my straw with my banana first. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna insert that in there, and the straw, it should pull it out. Don't poke it all the way through. Oh, perfect, look at that. Don't poke that all the way through. Remember, coral polyps, they only have that one body opening, their mouth. So we want to make sure that they just have that one body opening. And I'm going to do the same in my marshmallow. And thank goodness I'm using a reusable metal straw, because kind of tough to get in there. The chopstick works really great as well for this. All right, it looks like we've got our mouth, and look at that, didn't go through the bottom. We've got our stomach-like cavity inside. Okay, so now we've made our mouth and we've made our gut. So we're gonna want to make what next that's gonna capture all that plankton? You've got it, the tentacles. So what do you think, out of our ingredients we have here, what are we gonna use to make those tentacles? Ooh, I see some votes for maybe those pretzel sticks. And you've got it. If you've got the pull and peel licorice, you're in for a treat. These make great tentacles. All right, so what you're gonna do, if you have the pretzels, and I'm gonna use the pretzels, I think with my, you know what? I'm gonna use the pretzels with my marshmallow here. I'm gonna actually break these in half. They're a little bit easier to handle. And what you're going to do is you're gonna surround your coral's mouth with some tentacles. Now, I've got a little pro tip for you. That toothpick we told you to grab, you can go ahead and make some holes around your mouth so it's easier to put your tentacles inside. Now, also a fun biology fact is coral polyps usually either have 6 or 8 tentacles that surround their mouth. So if you want to be scientifically accurate, go ahead and just make 6 or 8 tiny little holes around that mouth. So continue to do that. All right, my marshmallow is all set. So I'm going to add some more tentacles in here. And I'm not going to build my polyp. Well, you know what? We've got time. I'm going to build my polyp all the way out. And reminder, everybody tuning in, if you have any questions throughout today's program, go ahead and add that in the chat space. And I've got Jacqueline helping me out in the background, and she's going to ask questions if they do come up. All right, mine aren't going to be scientifically accurate today because I don't want to take up too much of your time showing you that I indeed can make 2 coral polyps. But like I said, that toothpick works really, really well to get your tentacles in place. And that pull and peel licorice, we've got some long tentacles here, make really fun tentacles and tasty as well. Oh,
Casey, while you're adding your tentacles to your coral polyp, I just wanted to let you know that Vivi Rose is watching. We also have Dante and Jenna watching today, and they all say hi.
Hello, everyone. And let me make sure I move my hand out of the way here. Hi, Vivi Rose. So nice to have you. Dante, Jenna, so excited that you're here with us. Okay, so
and
there
Casey,
we go. Yeah.
Before you move on to the next step, Jenna would like to know, do you have a particular favorite type of coral?
Ooh, that's a great question, Jenna. Do I have a particularly favorite type of coral? Ooh, let me think about this. So corals come in a lot of different varieties. I live in Florida, and so I'm fortunate enough that I get to snorkel in some of the coral reefs that we have down south, like in the Florida Keys. So I love Caribbean coral reefs are super amazing and fun. I've been to Hawaii and snorkeled there as well. So I've seen a lot of different corals. There are hard corals and soft corals. The corals we're talking about today are hard corals because they're the ones that build the reef. You know, I'm gonna say there's a soft coral. No, I'm not gonna go with that one. You know what? Here in Florida, I love staghorn coral. They are an endangered species and they branch out. They're really, really beautiful. I love staghorns. Okay, so let's head back to our polyp. Great question, Jenna. Thank you for that. Okay, so we have our tentacles placed all around our mouth. So those tentacles are ready to capture that food that might be floating in the water. Okay, so we went over a coral polyp's simple body structure. Now I've got to tell you, we are not done yet. Corals are a little more complex than this. So even though those coral polyps are simple animals, they have a complex relationship with many other things on a coral reef, including other polyps. So you might notice that we have some other ingredients that are kind of hanging out that we haven't used quite yet. So in particular, I'm thinking about our crackers and our sandwich cookies. We also should have some jam left over too. So we've got jam, we've got crackers and sandwich cookies. Now, if you have either crackers or sandwich cookies, that's perfectly fine too. So what do you think that these things will represent? Well, I'm going to give you a little clue. Hard corals always need a hard substrate to settle on, like a rock or even the skeleton of another coral reef. And when that polyp settles down, it will secrete a sticky substance to then attach to that hard substrate. So again, we have jam and we have sandwich cookies and crackers. So what do you think these will represent? And I've got news for you too. If you don't have jam on hand, if you have peanut butter or even honey, we can use these as well in place of that jam. So you've got it. So that sticky substance, that jam, is what we're going to use to attach to our hard substrates, the cookies and the crackers. All right, so let's get our corals attached to their hard substrate by using, you just need about a spoonful of jam, really not that much at all. And in fact, let me move some of my ingredients around here so you all can see this properly.
Okay, so Casey, while you're setting that up, just to clarify, the cookie is our rock and the jam is our sticky substance?
Yes, you've got it. So the cookie or the cracker is our hard substrate, our rock, or even the skeleton of another coral, because fun fact, everyone, when you look at a coral reef, only the very thin top layer is actually alive with live coral polyps, and underneath are their dead relatives. So corals actually build upon the skeletons of their ancestors. And you might remember we did another snack size science where we talked about ocean acidification, and we talk about animals that make their own shells or even own skeletons. And coral reefs, those coral polyps, are a great example of an animal that makes its own shell, or we call it a skeleton, which is very different than our skeleton, but they make a limestone skeleton. And so corals will build on their ancestors, and only that top layer is actually alive and living. So let's pretend that our hard substrates are either a rock or it's a coral relative that we're building on. So you're going to take that jam and you're just going to put about a spoonful on each. And I have to confess, I am right-handed, and doing this with my left hand is very strange and very hard. So sorry if I'm shaking. You know what I'm going to do? I gave you a little tip. We're going to use another sticky substance on our cracker. I'm going to use that honey. There we go. So we've got our sticky substance that our corals have secreted, and they're going to use that. Oh, let's hope this banana stays. Oh, we lost a tentacle. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna, all right, attach our corals to that hard substrate. Awesome. So corals have an even cooler relationship, if you ask me, that I want to tell you about. They have a relationship with tiny algae that lives inside their tissues. And that algae is called zooxanthellae. It's a very big scientific word. Zooxanthellae live inside of corals and they have a mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship with their host. So I just said a lot of big words. Basically, we're telling you that the relationship between this tiny algae, that zooxanthellae, and the coral that they live in, it helps them both. It's a positive thing for both of them. Both of them benefit from it. Now that zooxanthellae, it will go through photosynthesis. And when they do that, they give off byproducts like sugars that coral can use as nutrition. And in return, that coral provides that zooxanthellae, that little algae, protection, and it helps the growth of other zooxanthellae by passing on nutrients. So both of these organisms benefit from being in this relationship with one another. Approximately 98% of coral's energy comes from that zooxanthellae. So you can think of that tiny algae as being a tiny solar panel that lives within a coral polyp's tissue. And fun fact, that zooxanthellae, that algae that lives in there, it contributes to all the bright colors that those corals show off and express in a coral reef. Coral reefs are very colorful environments, and most of that color comes from that special algae that lives inside of a coral's tissue. Now, I have a confession to make for everyone out there. I forgot an ingredient to tell you about to represent that zooxanthellae. So is there anything you can think of that you might have in your kitchen or on your shelves that you could use to maybe sprinkle around on our coral polyps to represent that zooxanthellae? Any thoughts, ideas? The first thing I thought of when I went to my kitchen was, oh, let me grab some seasoning. Let me grab some mint. And then I thought, well, wait a second though. I want to eat my coral. I don't think mint seasoning would be too tasty. It might be, freshen the breath. But another thing I thought of are candy sprinkles. Ooh, just drop some. So we can use our candy sprinkles to represent that zooxanthellae all over our corals. And fun for me is that my sprinkles I had on hand are actually pretty colorful themselves. All right, so there we have our little edible coral polyps, our coral creations.
Casey, some ideas that we had that we could use instead of zooxanthellae, or the sprinkles for zooxanthellae, we had cinnamon, sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, and we also got sprinkles too.
Yes, cinnamon, that's a good one. Cinnamon's a really good one. I wish I would have thought of that. Sesame seeds, that's also good. We could maybe even think of, do you want to make a savory coral creation or do you want to make a sweet one? We're doing pretty sweet ones today. So sesame seeds would be fun. So what other things could we replace, say, with our coral body? The pretzels definitely help for a savory one because they're salty, but you can kind of play around with these recipes and you can think of things that you could use for that body, for that base, for that sticky substance. You can definitely replace all these ingredients. That's really great. I love that. So now, one little coral polyp out there on the reef can't build the reef on its own. So it begins to make buds or clones of itself over and over again. So when you're looking at coral polyps like this, basically you're looking at twins or clones of the parent polyp. And so those coral polyps, they even share a mucousy outside. They even share some of their soft tissue together. They become this beautiful network of living organisms that build a coral reef. So again, depending on how many snack supplies you have on hand, you can continue to build your coral reef. You can continue to build on those coral polyps. I really like the idea of trying to build upon making them savory or sweet. That's really fun. So Jacqueline, I want to check in again to see if we have any other tips coming in from YouTube or any other questions before we start wrapping up.
We do. So Jenna said maybe you could use bread for the base, mayonnaise, and perhaps a fruit or veggie instead of a marshmallow. Maybe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I went a little sweet. We have some sweets. I've got to tell you, with everybody social distancing and staying at home, we do have some sweets on hand at home. Of course, I use a banana. That's the healthiest part of my coral creation. But we're also going camping this weekend, so I was able to grab some of our marshmallows that we had for our little camp snacks. But yeah, I love the idea. Let's make it more nutritious. Could we use? Oh, one thing we could use for the tentacles, if you're making something a little bit healthier, you could maybe do strings of carrots or julienne carrots.
Ooh, or
That
string cheese,
Ooh, string cheese. That would be a good one too.
or maybe even pasta.
Pasta, that might work as well. So if you want to, oh goodness, if we created a pasta one. Oh, Jenna, I like the idea of using bread because we could use a piece of garlic toast for that coral body. We could maybe use ricotta cheese for the sticky substance, or even marinara sauce for the sticky substance. I like that one better. And maybe some noodles. I like this. I like where everybody is thinking. This is good.
And Dante said you could maybe use an apple or apple core as your coral body as well.
Ooh, you could definitely use an apple. So Dante, the challenge I think with an apple core would be you won't be able to make that gut because, well, you probably could, but it's going to take a lot of force to kind of drill down in to get that gut and that mouth opening for your coral. So I would say we could definitely use an apple, especially if you have a nice big apple. You could cut it in half and use a section of it. I love that. That's great. Oh, keep those ideas coming in the chat. That is wonderful. So today, everyone, we learned all about coral anatomy, of those little coral polyps that build the coral reefs. And coral polyps are extremely important to the health of the ocean because these simple yet complex organisms are the foundation of those coral reefs that so many creatures in the ocean call home. So you all can take this further. Keep on making coral polyps. You can make an entire colony, get creative with your ingredients, think about what you can use for those different pieces of the anatomy, and serve them up as a snack. Serve them up as dessert, or you could even serve them up as dinner if you get something really good going. I'd love to see a pasta creation. I love that idea. And you can learn more about coral reefs with EarthEcho's STEM Explorer. Check out the Marine Science Cabinet to learn about coral reef biologists and ecologists. We have some really great videos there highlighting coral reefs and the people who work on them. So you can check out all of EarthEcho's resources on our website. And I want to let you all know that we're doing a giveaway right now. So before you leave here today, please subscribe to our Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then after you do that, hop on over to our Facebook page to check out the details of our giveaway. So subscribe here first and then go to Facebook. You'll thank me later. And if you're on our website and you'd like to support our programs, please consider making a donation. We make it really easy for you by giving you the URL right there. Of course, you can continue to join us for many Snack Size Science. You can find recordings right here on our YouTube channel and see our upcoming lineup. Today's episode has been recorded, so you can come back, make more polyps, think about how you can get creative with them, watch it again and again right here on EarthEcho's YouTube channel. And please feel free to share our Snack Size Science videos with any teachers, families, or friends that you think might be interested. So thank you all so much for stopping by for Snack Size Science today. I hope you've had fun. I hope you've learned something along the way. And from all of us here at EarthEcho International, please stay safe, stay healthy, and keep exploring, everyone. Bye-bye.